One night, an old man was running for his life, clutching something so powerful, even the entire underworld wanted him dead. A gang of criminals chased like hungry wolves, but suddenly, a young man stepped in, grabbed his arm, and broke it. The thief, terrified by his strength, fled. The old man looked at Saji and thanked him, saying, "Those who defend people like you should be the ones to hold the power, not anyone else." Then something that looked like an amulet or seal came out of his bag. He handed it to Saji. As soon as it touched the boy's hand, electricity ran through his body. The seal fused into him, and it became a tattoo on his hand. Confused, Saji asked about the mark, but the old man said nothing and walked away. The day ended like that. The next morning, Saji was running late for class. A girl suddenly appeared in front of him and he almost collided with her, but her reflexes were lightning fast. She landed a sweeping punch that sent him across the street. Realizing what she'd done, she rushed to him apologizing, "I'm sorry, that was just a reflex. I didn't mean to hurt you," and reached for his hand to check if he was okay. She looked embarrassed, mumbled something, and hurried off. Later, she stopped to buy something while Saji waited nearby. When he stepped aside to take a call, the same girl called out again, apologizing once more, but suddenly grabbed his phone and ran away. Saji didn't hesitate. He sprinted after her, chasing her through narrow streets until she slipped into an abandoned factory. He followed inside and found her waiting for him like she'd planned it. "Where did you get that seal?" she demanded. "You're one of the traitors. You have to die." He froze, confused, but before he could speak, she attacked. He barely dodged her strikes, not wanting to hurt her, yet her movements were precise and brutal. When he blocked one blow, pain shot up his wrist. Frustrated, he shouted that he wouldn't hold back anymore, caught her hands and was about to throw her down, but she smashed his phone over his head. Dazed, he stumbled back as a car screeched to a stop outside. She lunged again, hitting from every angle while he struggled to block. Finally, she knocked him down and leapt high, weapon raised for the final strike. Saji thought it was over, but the sword slammed into the ground beside his face. Breathing hard, the girl stared at him, realizing he truly had no idea about the seals or their power. As Saji caught his breath, he demanded to know why she'd attacked him. The girl softened. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "My name's Easy. I'm with intelligence." She showed him a glowing seal on her own hand and explained she came to reclaim his because it granted extraordinary power. Taking out a piece of chalk, she touched it with her sealed hand. The air began to shimmer. The light gathered in her palm, humming louder, and then exploded into a brilliant burst. Smoke swirled between them. Through the haze, she said in a low voice, "Now imagine hundreds with power like this, in the wrong hands." The words sent a chill through him. He didn't need more explanation. The threat was obvious. Saji stared at the fading glow, realizing how dangerous his tattoo might be. Easy looked away, almost sad, then told him her mission: to stop those who used their seals to hurt and enslave others. Nations were already fighting to obtain them, and chaos was spreading. Without saying more, she turned and walked away. Saji stood silent, the echo of her words heavy in the air. At home, his grandfather was furious. "You lost your phone? Got beaten up? After all these years of training?" he shouted, smacking him lightly with a cane. The old man was a martial arts master who'd taught Saji to protect the weak. "You're staying at the dojo extra hours until you toughen up," he said. The next day, Saji sat in class, his face still bruised. His classmates whispered, but he ignored them. Across the street, Izzy watched him from a window. Her assistant urged, "We should report him. If anyone finds out you spared a seal holder, we're finished." But she refused. "He got it by accident. I'll keep him safe." From that day, she followed him everywhere. Saji noticed but pretended not to. One evening, walking home with his friend Tuka, he sensed her presence again. Tuka turned angrily and shouted, "What do you want from us?" thinking Easy was spying. Saji calmed her. "Go home," he said. "I'll talk to her." When they met alone, he said, "I tried what you showed me with the chalk, but nothing happened. Maybe you were wrong." Izzy smiled faintly. "Every seal is different," she said. "Each one has its own power and its own way to awaken. One day, by accident, you'll find what triggers yours, and then you'll understand." Suddenly, a man came running toward them, chased by thugs. Saji shoved Easy aside, grabbed the attacker's arm, and flipped him to the ground, following with an elbow strike. Easy clapped, laughing. "Nice move, hero." She bent to check on the fleeing man and froze. It was her own assistant. "That man," he gasped, "has one of the strongest seals." Before he could finish, a blast threw Saji backward. The enemy's seal ignited with blinding light. "Come on then," the man roared. Easy reached for her weapon, but Saji stopped her. "He's a criminal. I'll handle him." He charged forward, but the man's power was immense. Saji dodged blow after blow, unable to land a hit. The man was like a wall of muscle. Thinking fast, Saji tried to find a weak point, but the man lunged first. Saji ducked, countered with a punch that cracked the ground beneath them, but his opponent barely flinched, seized Saji's head and smashed it into the pavement, then slammed a fist into his stomach so hard he nearly blacked out. The man sneered, "This is your end, boy." Saji's vision blurred, strength fading. From far away, he saw Easy and Tom racing toward him, screaming his name. He thought, so this is it. But before the killing blow landed, Suddenly, Saji struck. His seal flared to life, a massive halo burst from his hand, and everyone watching couldn't believe their eyes. Allison was thrown by a single suplex and sent flying, finished off by the force, and Easy stood frozen, stunned by what she saw. This was the Seal of Infinity, a rare and utterly unmatched mark that needed no tool to activate. Yet at that moment, Saji collapsed and nobody knew if he was alive or what had happened to him. They carried him home, and when he woke, his wounds had vanished and he felt no pain. People breathed, "Thank God you're safe. Congratulations, you carry the Seal of Infinity, the strongest of seals, the one that can create a vast void that might swallow the world." And they told him it needs nothing to trigger it. At the first drop of blood that touches your hand, it will activate automatically. The boy leapt with excitement at having such power, but they warned him not to celebrate. He faced two choices. Either they would kill him and take the seal, or he would work with them to help collect the other seals. What did he think of that? He grew angry and refused, saying he would not become their follower and would not kill for a seal. Maybe his power had nothing to do with war and could be used to help people. And Easy agreed with him. Angered by his words, one of them kicked him and knocked him down, telling him he had no say and only those two choices remained. "Think about it until tomorrow, and then we'll decide what to do with you," they said, and they left. The next day, Easy enrolled in his class as a new student so she could keep watching him closely, and at mid-break they met on the roof to speak. She asked, "What's your answer to what I said yesterday? Join us or die now?" Saji replied he had a few questions first, and they told him to ask. "What are these seals and who made them? And why do nations want to retrieve them? What will they use them for?" he asked. Easy said the seals were ancient relics, no one knows how or when they were made. But after the state announced a new weapon and its power, everyone worried someone would use the seals against them. That fear sent nations to search the world. Many seals were stolen, and their task was to bring them back before countries got them. If war broke out using that power, it would be total destruction. Saji understood and agreed to help, warning them that if they ever harmed innocent people, he would be the first to stand against them. They accepted and left. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a woman attacked the royal palace and slaughtered everyone inside. Her seal was powerful, and her aim was to gather the remaining seals to seize the state and crown herself queen. She told her aide she'd found the Seal of Infinity's location and had sent two top warriors to kill its owner and retrieve it. Something big was about to happen. At that time, Saji went to Easy's house. Tom opened the door and let him in, and Saji expected to find weapons everywhere like the agents he'd seen on TV, but there was nothing flashy to catch his eye. Easy called him and said she was at a nearby hospital handling some matters and told Tom to stay with Saji and answer any questions until she returned. Then she told him to go down to the basement where he would find a box, take it and bring it back. So they left Saji and he went to fetch it. When he descended, he was surprised to find a wide space filled with gym equipment. This wasn't just a storage room, it was the place where he would learn everything. At the same time, Easy was setting up devices that detect seals. If someone activated a seal near the hospital, the system would sense it and send a signal. And the moment she switched them on, they registered a nearby activation. Before she could turn to see it, a man stood behind her and attacked, smashing a wall beside her. But she wasn't hurt. She demanded, "Who are you and what brought you here?" He answered, "Has the king been killed? I'm an envoy of the new queen. I came to kill you and bring back the other seals." The girl was shocked to learn they knew about the Seal of Infinity. He attacked with full force, but she parried easily, dodged skillfully, and moved beneath him, shattering everything around as he thought she'd been struck. In that instant, Easy snapped a piece of chalk, channeled her power, grabbed a stone, and turned it into a bomb, hurled it at him, and detonated it, then fled. She raced home because she knew someone would strike Saji. And at that moment, the door began to rap. Someone went to open it but before the door could be opened fully, Saji arrived to find the smashed doorway split in two. And the shock was that Tuka herself had done it. He rushed in and saw her standing there in a wild, vengeful haze, eyes burning like she wanted to kill him. And for a moment, he couldn't make sense of it until the memory snapped into place. A few hours earlier, Tuka had seen Saji coming here and, thinking he was betraying her, followed him to see where he went, only to be relieved when she found Tom had opened the door and she was home again, until this terrifying girl appeared in her face, a follower of the queen, staring with murderous intent. Tuka didn't understand what was happening when the girl grabbed her by the throat and began to strangle her, then used the power of her seal to possess Tuka's body, taking control. Saji watched in stunned confusion and called, "What's happening to you?" While Tom barked at him anxiously, "Take the blood in the bag and trigger your power fast, I'll go get it." Tuka, under the other girl's control, attacked. Saji dodged desperately, trying not to hurt Tuka, but she slammed him against the wall and he felt his shoulder pierced. As he struggled, he tried to speak to Tuka, but she didn't respond. She was gone inside her own body, and the possessed girl readied herself to finish him, eyes cold. In that moment, Tuka's consciousness resurfaced with flashes of memory. She recalled Saji protecting her from people who harassed her when she had once been weak, and she fought back with everything she had, shouting, "I won't let you die." She summoned her courage, gathered every ounce of strength, and hurled Vela away. Seeing the opening, Saji and Tom combined their focus. Tom called on his own resolve and triggered his seal, and together they forced Vela's presence out of Tuka's body. Vela, furious, drew her weapons and lunged again, but Saji intercepted at the last second and blocked an attack with his sealed hand. The seal activated in a terrifying surge, his power spiking and shouting that she would die. And with that force, half the house was ripped apart by the blast. By some miracle, Tuka managed to escape in the chaos and climb to a rooftop nearby, realizing that if she went down, she would be finished. So she left them and walked away. Tuka stumbled to Saji, who was badly shaken and bleeding, and she cradled him, whispering, "I'll understand everything later, just stay with me. What matters is you're alive and safe." Izzy arrived and stood on the rubble of what remained of the house, stunned, asking if she'd messed up the address, then recognized Tom and confirmed it was indeed her place. 3 days later, the wounded were healing and they began training, learning how to develop and control the seal's energy. Izzy watched Tuka and marveled at how such a childlike face could hide such immense power, and Tuka explained she wasn't as small as she looked. Her problems had been years in the making because of the seal in her, and she warned Saji that if he overused his power, his body might not survive the strain. He nodded and agreed, then helped dress her wound and applied a bandage over the mark to protect her. When Saji asked where Tuka's tattoo had come from, she told him it had appeared when Vela had possessed her. A copy of that power had been left behind, and every time Vela used her strength, Tuka's own power grew in response.